Hi there, and welcome to the Entrepreneurs Therapist podcast. I'm your host, Shulamit Ber-Lev Tov, and I'm the Entrepreneurs Therapist. You can call me Shula for short. My pronouns are she, hers. This is the podcast for business owners, solopreneurs, micropreneurs, freelancers, and self-employed folks who want support for riding the emotional roller coaster of running a business. I'm on a mission to mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis and transform the entrepreneurial ecosystem to include you, the whole human founder, as a business priority. I do that through this podcast, of course, and also through speaking, teaching, and consulting, and by supporting women business owners to prevent burnout and preserve their peace of mind as they ride the emotional roller coaster of running a business in an era of relentless stressors that can make you want to lose your crap on the daily. This podcast is being recorded on lands that have been stewarded for 10,000 years and to this day by the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Land acknowledgements are calls to action from Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and this is your call to action to find out whose land you're on and share that information with others and take what other actions you can toward reconciliation, because the harms caused by settler colonialism are ongoing. Today's topic is a mindset shift that can relieve stress. So as business owners, and even in general, stress management is something everybody talks about. We women entrepreneurs are always looking for new stress management techniques because wearing all the hats and doing all the things can be beyond stressful. So the thing is, why we're in pursuit of stress management techniques, obviously it feels crappy to be stressed out, and we all know that stress is bad. Everywhere you look, you see that message repeated. Stress causes heart attacks, high blood pressure, strokes, and diabetes. And, stress isn't a pleasant experience either. It keeps you up at night. It makes your thoughts race. It can give you heart palpitations, sweaty palms, panic attacks. It makes you snap at people and cry at the drop of a hat. It's never a good feeling when you're overwhelmed and can't mobilize the resources you need to respond to the demands that you're facing. And that's the textbook definition of stress, right? You're overwhelmed and you can't mobilize the resources you need to respond to the demands that you're facing. But maybe you don't need to reduce your stress. Maybe all you need is to change the way you think about stress. Did you know that the way you think about your business challenges can actually de-stress you? For women entrepreneurs, making deliberate choices about how we think is part of the healthy mindset we need to be stronger so that we can succeed in business and in life. So, fight, flight, and stress management. The history of this concept, the idea of fight, flight response, stress management, and stress as bad news has been around since the 1930s, thanks to Hans Selye. And there's a link to this information and his research in the show notes. The fight-flight response mobilizes the body's stress response in a way that inhibits effective thinking and decision-making and makes it hard to deal with negative thoughts and emotions. When we're under stress and the fight-flight response mobilizes, the brain's energy is directed toward immediate survival responses in the moment and not long-term problem solving and creative thinking. We all know the feeling. We see red and nothing else, or we run around like chickens with our heads cut off, or we freeze, or we collapse. As women entrepreneurs, we go through all these kinds of experiences on a regular basis. And living in the fight-flight response all the time isn't good for your body, your spirit, your mind, or a healthy mindset. But we do need the body's stress response. It's what mobilizes us. It's what gets us up off the couch to look for the remote when we want to change channels. It's what makes you run around the office looking for your cell phone the rare time that it actually rings. But the thing is, we don't need to manage stress. The issue is not with stress itself. There are two problems with stress. One is ongoing chronic stress with no rest and digest, no time in the rest and digest phase for our nervous system. And how we think about it and what we do with it. So, did you know that in addition to the stress response, there's also a challenge response? The challenge response mobilizes the sympathetic nervous system, just like the fight-flight response does, but a different ratio of stress hormones are released when the challenge response kicks into action. The challenge response to stress actually facilitates decision-making, supports clear, effective, and sustained thinking processes, and enables you to handle negative emotions well. You can see how then, if you're focused and feeling confident and in control, you're likely to perform better. And so activating the challenge response puts you in the zone, right? Quotation marks, in the zone of performance. You might recognize your challenge response, or rather, you might recognize the experience of being in the zone. Well, that's your challenge response. The nervous system is aroused, you're mobilized and engaged, your mind is focused on the task at hand, and things are going well. It's a paradigm shift to think of adverse events in your business or your life as challenges rather than threats. So the difference is when you perceive it as a threat, metaphorically speaking, you freak out. You go, oh my God, this is a disaster. When it's a challenge, you go, oh, what am I going to do about this? This is a practice, though. It's not enough to say, oh, okay, from now on, stress is going to be good for me. I'm going to think of stress as good for me. This is where self-talk plays a really important role. What we say to ourselves really matters. When you freak out, do you say things to yourself like, oh crap, this is really bad news? Oh man, what a disaster. I just can't catch a break. Or, I should have known better. I'm sure if you've studied self-growth in any way, you know that this kind of thinking isn't helpful. This negative self-talk can bring you down, right? All the stress management books say we should avoid catastrophic thinking and self-criticism. But what are you going to do about it? First, it's important to recognize and validate what's happening. So this is what you can replace negative self-talk and self-thinking and catastrophic thinking with. So recognizing and validating what's happening looks like saying to yourself, yikes, this is tough. Wow, this is really hitting me hard. Or, oh, I'm struggling right now. And it can happen. It can help to place a gentle hand on your chest, maybe, and place your awareness on your breath before you say something to yourself like, wow, this is hard. I'm struggling. This kind of validation and this kind of gentle reassurance with the gentle touch of your hand and your focus on the breath can help calm your emotions. And maybe you could add in a stretch or a walk to the bathroom or a cup of tea before you take the next step. So step 1 is to recognize and validate. Step 2 is supportive self-talk. But again, what does this look like? When you feel your heart rate rising and your palms getting sweaty, to activate the challenge response and foster a healthy mindset, you can say things to yourself like, oh, my body is reacting this way because I'm preparing to face a challenge. Oh, my body's mobilizing itself because I really care about this. You could also say something like, yeah, I faced lots of challenges before and it turned out okay. Oh, I know this is hard and I trust in my capacity to handle it. So the first step, again, with the gentle hand, is the recognition and validation. And still, maybe you might like to keep your gentle hand on your heart space and your focus on your breath as you say these supportive things to yourself. Right, I'm struggling right now. This feels hard. And I'm preparing to face a challenge. I trust in my capacity to handle this challenge. And then you can add in some curiosity. So I wonder, is there a way that I can take action here? Or, I wonder, which of my strengths can I use in this situation? What's going to serve me well? Or what kind of help can I ask for? Who can I reach out to? And you'll notice the tone of voice, not like What can I do? How can I take action? What am I going to do about this? Which has a very kind of pressured, tense, anxious, pushy feeling to it. It's really a kind of sitting back, being with yourself, and a kind of a wondering, like, oh, I wonder if there's a way I can take action here. Like, I wonder. And then to pause and wait. Pause and notice. What is it that comes in response to that curiosity? And you could, if you've made yourself a tea, you can pause and jot down a few notes. With this practice, it can take as little as with practice over time, this practice can take as little as a moment or two, although initially it might take up to 10 minutes. Some people like to have biz BFFs with whom they have ongoing text or Voxer voice note conversations, and that would be a good place to hold this kind of conversation with yourself, asking your BFF to be a compassionate witness. So you can talk yourself through this process in a voice note, as if your biz BFF were listening right on the spot. I've tried this many, many times. I have a number of biz besties with whom I have ongoing voice note conversations. And it's just so helpful to talk yourself through things, knowing that it's going into a safe container. It's important to remember that this is not a job for the inner critic. When you're using self-talk for stress management, it's important to note that tone of voice and attitude matter a great deal. Supporting yourself is not a job for the inner critic, and you can recognize the difference, because when the inner critic comes telling you, and it does sound really logical, right? It does sound like it makes sense. It has good reasons. The things it says you should do are things you agree with. And you can distinguish between the tone of voice from the inner critic and how you feel when the inner critic is speaking, and how you and the tone of voice when you're being gentle and supportive with yourself. So if you're finding it tough, maybe your imagination can come in handy. It might help to envision a dear friend or family member to say the gentle, kind, and encouraging things to you instead of yourself. Or you can ask your BFF to say back in a message, voice note, or text, to say back the kinds of supportive responses that are helpful. There's now a great deal of research that demonstrates it's not stress itself, but how we think about it and then respond to it that determines its impact on our health and mindset. And so as entrepreneurs, we face challenge and threats all day long. Finding a way to tell yourself an empowering story about yourself as a person with the ability to face a challenge supports the healthy mindset that can help you make it through the day more effectively and with less emotional wear and tear. There's a great book on this topic of stress as a positive experience in your life, and ways that you can use it, more ways that you can use it to your advantage. And I've linked the book in the show notes, so you can take a look if you want more information. This podcast is brought to you by my self-guided virtual retreat. You can create your customized plan for mental and emotional well-being as a business owner to keep your CEO self in the driver's seat so you don't flip your lid and blow up your business when the crap hits the fan. Running a business, the stresses of running a business, like we've just talked about today, can run down your mental health. And as whole humans who own small businesses, a mental health plan should be a part of your business strategy. You can boost yourself, your mental and emotional well-being, and your business with a mental health plan for you, the business owner. And you can buy the self-guided mental health plan virtual retreat today. It's $99 US, and it includes a workshop recording, an enhanced PDF transcript, and worksheets. The link is entrepreneurstherapist.click/MH plan, but the link is also in the description below. Thanks for listening. I'm the Entrepreneur's Therapist, and I'm on a mission to mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis that's been talked about in the business press since at least 2018. So it's a big deal, and it's ongoing. And also to transform the entrepreneurial ecosystem to include you, the whole human founder and business owner, in business processes, and plans and priorities. If you've gotten something valuable from this episode, you can support my mission by sharing with friends and colleagues whom you think need to hear this. Subscribing, rating, and reviewing also helps mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis by making it possible for this podcast to reach more stressed out entrepreneurs who need support, validation, and tools to help them care for their mental and emotional well-being in an era of relentless stressors that can make you lose your crap on the daily. I look forward to connecting with you next time.